It's about creating a valuable future for our youth through education, work opportunities, and youth need to be seen. Role models need to be created, positive role models. And we must target their message, their narrative. And in this, I believe, we must meet the terrorists and extremists with arguments, not censorship. We shall not let the terrorists decide and define what stories are to be told in social media and elsewhere in the digital domain. We must confront potential extremists with alternative narratives, based on facts and based on arguments. In order for us to do that, we must keep the internet free, open, and engage in ongoing dialogue. In some countries, we know this is a challenge. They will always seek new ways of reaching out, new Twitter accounts, new channels of communication to reach our youth. Now, it's our benefit that they use the channels that we know, rather than hiding in the so-called dark web, under the surface, or in closed internet forums, where their ideas are left unchallenged. But it requires a lot from all of us, that we are active on the same platforms. Malala Yousafzai and other youth received the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo in December last year. Her voice through the internet from Taliban-controlled areas caught the world's attention. By speaking out for girls' education, she is fighting the extremist message in her way and risking her life in the struggle. It's not only in Pakistan education is under attack, as we know. The kidnapping of more than 200 girls in Nigeria last spring is another example, and we have many more. Why are extremists targeting education? Now, by empowering youth, children and youth through education, we develop their critical thinking. Critical thinking means challenging authorities and questioning the messages of extremists. It means not accepting simple messages or simple answers to complex questions. ISIL is different things to different people. Different extremist groups are different things to different people. Successful communication and counter-narratives needs to identify the audiences. We must understand their grievances that the extremists use to target the audiences. And we know that the public relations wing of many of these extremist groups are sophisticated in understanding the new media and popular culture as well of the West. We are at a time when we are increasing need to cooperate better on these issues. We need to share best practices. And let me briefly share some of the things that the Norwegian government has been doing in the field of countering violent extremism. In June last year, 2014, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Justice launched Norway's second CVE, Countering Violent Extremism Action Plan. The action plan takes a whole-of-government approach with 9 ministries and the Prime Minister's office, but it also takes an approach that this cannot only be a ministerial or a department minister's job. It needs to go all the way down to civil society, partnerships in new ways, which has surprised many other governments around the world. Now, the 5 pillars include increased research and knowledge, increased cooperation between different actors, increased reach out to first-line services, increased focus on civil society efforts, developing local action plans, and preventing radicalization and recruitment through the internet. There are partnerships here between civil society, between authorities, which are worth looking at, and I hope we can discuss further. There are also training modules for the different people involved so that we can all develop knowledge about what we're talking about. There are campaigns such as No Hate campaigns, No Hate Speech, which targets hate speech, which is also, we know, something which youth are targeted, where youth are targeted. There needs to be clear and firm leadership. Now, from the Prime Minister's office in Norway, we have encouraged local communities to arrange dialogue meetings, smaller meetings such as this, although this is also a dialogue meeting in some way, across the country involving the police, schools, parents, religious communities, sports clubs, and youth societies. Much is done at a local level, which need to be highlighted and brought forward. Bring out the role models and the youth leaders and let them stand there and show their voices. Show the positive examples. We also need to take a tough stand, and this is a difficult issue. The issues and the debates about whether to criminalize travel, criminalize taking part in foreign fighter activity. This is all on the table for discussion in our capitals. Now, there's a careful balance here, as you know, and we must be careful not to promote policies that may backfire. And in many of our countries, we've seen examples of this. I strongly believe that the most important thing is prevention and engagement. What discussions are taking place at the local level? What meeting places are there to vent frustration and to engage positive examples and positive projects? Here, local communities, civil society must play a major role. Parents, sports clubs, schools, the youth, and religious communities, and initiatives such as the Peace Ring, as mentioned before, need to be encouraged. Discussing this issue here today, Saji, is a testimony, I think, to our common resolve to do something, to engage. We are many that have to contribute, but in all of this, states, governments cannot solve the problem alone. Civil society, academia, media, the business community, parents and our youth must work together to counter the messages of extremism every day, every minute. We all have different roles to play, and we can only succeed through a joint effort. And it requires bravery when it comes to debates. Where do we stand and what do we stand for when it really counts? It's not only about our youth, although I know you want me to say that. It's about our futures. And the values that we uphold and that we constantly need to discuss, again, not only from here, but in our everyday lives. I look forward to the discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you.